Hey, what's going on, everybody? Special episode of Locked On Badgers today. We're going to rank every Wisconsin running back since 2000. Let me know where I'm right. Let me know where I'm wrong. Let's chop this up.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Badgers. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Thank you so much for making Locked On Badgers one of your first listens every single day. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it as we continue to build this community. And by popular demand from the Discord channel, we're going to rank every Wisconsin running back since 2000. Now, here's the caveats. First of all, this is a beastly list. Like, there is no bums on this list because every running back, I'm only counting running backs that had at least 150 carries in a season, not cumulatively over their career, but 150 in a season. I think that kind of gets us out of the Lance Smith, Nakia Watson. Not that those guys were bad running backs, but we're just going to talk about the real staples here. So that gets us to 13 total running backs since 2000 that have had at least 150 carries in a single season. We're going to rank all of them, starting at 13, going all the way down to 1. Just a quick note, it's only going to be based on their college production. NFL has no merit, no bearing on this. I may mention it when I get to a player just to kind of, give a little bit of extra information, but it has no bearing on the list, what they did in the NFL. The only other thing I'd say is the rankings are kind of a combination of what they did in college, but also just how good they were. Some running backs just played 1 year or 2 years, but they were incredible. Some had a 4-year career, but they never were unbelievable. They never had that huge moment in a huge game, etc. So it's kind of a combination of those things. It's a gray area. There's nuance. And this is not the right list. This is just my list, right? This is just what I put together. Let me know where I'm wrong, where I'm right in the comments. Am I too high on somebody, too low on somebody, etc., etc.? And let's get into it. All right, starting off at number 13, Dare Ogunbowale. He was a walk-on out of Milwaukee, came in as a cornerback. Really good in open space, really good hands. One of the best pass catchers that's going to be on this list. A guy with over 2,000 yards of scrimmage in his career, averaged 4.8 per carry. Team captain his senior year, so definitely a leadership guy. Just a really good running back. Tough, not a big guy, but tough for his size. Like I say, really good in space, quick. Was never the bell cow, which is going to hurt him on this list. But again, this list is beastly. Right, this is a number 13 guy. This is the last guy on this list, and he's played 51 games in the NFL. That speaks to how good we've been at this position. But he's 13 on this list. Number 12, Ches Malusi. And again, Dare has certainly had a better career than Ches, right? But Ches still has time, and I think he has more. I think he has more upside. So some of this I'm factoring in upside where I think they're going to go. Try to project a little bit. Ches came in last year. He was a four-star high school prospect out of Naples, Florida, committed to Clemson, came to Wisconsin in the transfer portal, had 815 yards last year, but would have went well over 1,000 if not for the injury. Definitely would have eclipsed 1,000, probably would have ended up with 1,200 yards. Good catcher, physical runner, tougher than I thought he was going to be, really good in between the tackles. I wouldn't call him elite in any area, Ches, but definitely a really good number 2 to Braelon's number 1. Number 11 on the list, as we continue to march down, the best running back since 2000, P.J. Hill, Parrish Hill. That is his actual name, by the way, Parrish Hill. Out of Brooklyn, he was a very low 3-star recruit, kind of a 2-star, 3-star guy. Played from 2006 to 2008, had 3 years. But his freshman year is really when he burst onto the scene at 1,500-plus yards, 311 carries. And this guy gets not a lot of love. PJ Hill is an overlooked guy in the Wisconsin running back annals, but here's a dude who ran for 42 rushing touchdowns, 42 of them, career 5.1 per pop on the ground. Really good running back, big, physical, tough kid. I think his last 2 years he ground down a little bit, but that redshirt freshman year was incredible. He's the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Again, 1,500-plus yards, a big, bruising, physical running back, kind of big shoulder pads, very unique style. He's my number 11 running back. Coming up at number 10, Corey Clement, 4-star running back where Wisconsin, again, kind of pumped that New Jersey pipeline out of Glassboro. 5.4 yards per carry, 3,300 total yards from scrimmage. A physical, really physical, tough, kind of one cut and go running back. Lowered his shoulder pads a lot. And, definitely a guy who every time he was out there, every time he's on the field. Now, he had some injury problems. I think he had a hernia. So I feel like we never got to see for the totality of his career the best of Corey Clement consistently. But when he was out there, that dude always gave everything he had. Super physical, super tough. Another guy on this list that went on to go into some NFL success. Really good running back. Number 9 on my list. Right. So far we've got Dare at 13, Ches at 12, PJ Hill at 11, Corey Clement at 10. Number 9. Now this guy's, again, this is kind of where there's nuance on this list. I'm going to talk about a guy who really just had one big year, but my goodness, was he a missile. That's Michael Bennett out of Milwaukee. Michael Bennett, in that 2000 year, you're talking about 1,681 rushing yards, 5.4 per pop. It was good enough for him to become a first-round pick and ended up being a Pro Bowler in the NFL. But the thing about Michael Bennett, that if you are a younger dude and you don't really remember, he is a track. He is a missile. Michael Bennett had unbelievable speed from the running back spot, and he was built too. Now, Michael Bennett wasn't like a super skinny, small guy that could just fly. He was built, but he was a missile. Just a legit track star who also played running back for the Badgers. I'll never forget, they were playing Oregon in that 2000 season, and he ran for 290 yards, and he had like 3, just ridiculously long runs. He had an 83-yarder, a 60-yarder, and I think a 70-yarder against this Oregon team. And there were plays where he would break out, and his speed was so breathtaking. It looked like a thoroughbred, at Kentucky Downs, just breaking away off that last corner. I know nothing about horse racing, by the way, but just the absolute speed that Michael Bennett brought to the table. Incredible stuff. So that's my first tier, guys. That's the first segment. We're going to start this first segment with the 5 running backs. I got Dare, then Ches, then PJ, Corey Clement, and Michael Bennett. You guys let me know. Now, you can definitely make an argument. Bennett really only had that one big year. Maybe you should put a PJ Hill who had 2 or 3 times the rushing yards that Bennett had above him. I just think Bennett was so unique and so talented that I have to have him a little bit higher. But I totally get it if you want to knock him down a little bit because he didn't have that consistent career success that some of the other players did. And again, this is the bottom tier of my top 13. Ogunbowale played in the NFL. Corey Clement still plays in the NFL. Michael Bennett was a first-round pick. PJ Hill got a UGFA invite to the Saints. Ches Malusi is still in school, but he's probably going to get some type of NFL tryout as well. That's how talented this list is. It is stacked. And it is really hard to rank these guys. So let me know where I'm at. Let me know if you think I'm misranking these dudes. Coming up next, we're going to get into the next tier of running backs on this list, including a couple hometown heroes. But first, today's show is brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar remains my number one source as just like a nutritional sidekick. I've got another box coming. Some of the stuff on the website sold out because it's so popular, but I was able to go on there with a promo code I'm going to give you, save money, and get something that helps sustain me throughout the day. Built Bar is just a really good tasting protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar, but it's 100% pure chocolate. Not a lot of sugar, 15 to 20 grams of protein, and the flavors are ridiculous. They're super eatable. I go through them a lot. I go through them when I just want a snack. Like, the typical protein bar, you just eat it when you're done with a workout because you got to cram some protein in. I eat these as a snack knowing that it's also healthy. It's an incredible sidekick to my fitness journey. It's something you should definitely try out. And we have a great offer for you. Go to the website, go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15. Promo code LOCKED15. You get 15% off your order. And you're not going to regret it. Great tasting, healthy. Give the gift of health to yourself. Go to Locked15, built.com, Locked15, get 15% off your order. Thank you guys again for making Locked On Badgers your first listen. Remember, the live NBA draft show is going on. The entire NBA channel is going live. The entire NBA channel is going live on the NBA draft. So if you have a favorite NBA team, make sure you subscribe now to their YouTube channel. See what's going on in the NBA draft coming up this Thursday. And let's get into the next group, guys. Let's get into the next group. The 8 through 5. Coming in at 8, John Clay. John Clay, the 4-star running back out of Racine, Wisconsin. 2009 Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. Second team All Big Ten in 2010. He was a guy who I think if you ask the average Badger fan about John Clay, the real Badger fan, he's always going to furrow his brow a little bit and say, did not quite live up to the hype. And yet, this was a guy who was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in 2009. And I agree, he did not really live up to the hype because he had some conditioning issues. He had a nagging ankle injury. He shared a backfield at times with really good players. James White and Monte Ball. But oh my goodness, when this dude was right, was he good? That 2009 season, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, 1,500-ish yards, and just a wrecking ball. Big, physical, pretty good feet for a big back too. I mean, he never had the breakaway speed. Ended up getting a UDFA tryout with the Steelers, but he could make some cuts in the hole. He wasn't just a lean forward and like pull people 3 yards type of guy. He was pretty nimble for his size, could get outside a little bit, but just a big, physical, talented running back that, quite frankly, if he could have figured out the conditioning just a little bit and had a little bit better health, this dude was a monster. He could have been so much more. And even then, he was a really good back for Wisconsin. Coming in at number 7, Brian Calhoun. Calhoun was an interesting story. And I actually think I have him coming up on the show in a few weeks or in a week or so, which I'm really excited to, because I'm going to ask him about this running back ranking. I'm going to see if I got him too low in his opinion. But Calhoun was a 4-star back coming out of Wisconsin, coming out of Oak Creek, Wisconsin. And he went to Colorado. Went to Colorado for 3 years, came back to Wisconsin for 1 season, and that season was ridiculous. That 2005 season, here, listen to this. Listen to these numbers. 1,600 yards rushing, 22 rushing touchdowns, 571 receiving yards. So you're talking about a guy who had about 2,100 yards from scrimmage and 24 total touchdowns. Second team All-American. First team All-Big Ten. Obviously, your first team Big Ten with those numbers. One of my favorite running back games of all time at Wisconsin, of all time. Think about the running back games Wisconsin has had, right? It's the Melvin 408. It's some of the Monte Ball stuff, right? It's Jonathan Taylor in some big moments, also against Nebraska at times. One of my favorite running back games of all time for Wisconsin is Brian Calhoun, 2005 against Michigan. So this was a game everyone kind of remembers. John Stocco had a late quarterback sneak to kind of put Wisconsin ahead. They won 23-20 on that Stocco sneak. But that entire game against Michigan was Brian Calhoun. He had 35 carries for 155 yards and 7 receptions. The dude touched the ball 42 times against Michigan. And if you watch that game, I actually went back and I watched every touch he had. A lot of them are just physical pounding. He's taking shots. People are throwing him around because he wasn't a huge dude. I mean, he was well built, but he wasn't a huge dude. And he took 42 touches against that Michigan defense, a good Michigan team. Just a gutsy, tough, physical running back for his size. Great hands out of the backfield. Really good player. He's my number 7. Coming at number 6, Anthony Davis, the A-Train. Another smaller back, even smaller than Calhoun. 4,800, almost 5,000 total yards from scrimmage. Played 4 years at Wisconsin. Had 4 really good years, like consistently successful. He wore down a little bit at times. He wasn't a big guy. He had a lot of touches out of Plainfield. Another New Jersey guy. Low center of gravity, and a pretty physical, tough player for his size. Like, he's not a guy who would just run out of bounds. He would lower shoulder, get an extra yard, smooth runner too. Like, when you think of the smaller backs, it's a lot more quick cuts, but this guy could really put a foot in the ground, go upfield. I liked him a lot. The A-Train, almost 5,000 yards. He's coming in there at my number 6 spot. Number 5, the whiteout, James White. 3-star player out of St. Thomas Aquinas. No, I always mispronounce that name. The powerhouse high school in Florida, St. Thomas, STA. And he came in, White was an interesting guy. He came in as a veteran ready to rock and roll. Like, he came in college ready. And everyone remembers that 2010 Ohio State-Wisconsin game, the student section holding up white sheets of paper for James White. And he was ready, played a big role in that knockoff of that number 1 Ohio State team. And he's another guy. He's like Anthony Davis, 4 just rock solid seasons, had 4,600 yards from scrimmage, 48 career touchdowns. And he's always a guy I remember reminding me like a little bit of a Warwick Dunn type player. Really, really quick in the hole, elite quickness, stop and start. He can give you the dead leg. There were some players he embarrassed in the open field. There was a couple Minnesota runs that I can remember off the top of my head. Excuse me. And he just would leave people grasping for air in the open field. He wasn't a burner. He was probably like a 4-5-ish guy. He could get caught from behind a little bit, but just a great running back, all around dude, third down guy, could catch the pass, or could catch passes out of the backfield, good in pass protection, super dependable. And obviously we've seen his career in the NFL as well. So yeah, that's my 8 through 5 guys. I've got John Clay, Brian Calhoun at 7, Anthony Davis at 6, James White at 5. And again, we talked about how stacked this list is. Number 8's John Clay. He was a Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. right? Brian Calhoun is 7. He was a 3rd-round draft pick. Anthony Davis was a draft pick. James White has been in the NFL forever. He should have won a Super Bowl MVP for Pete's sake. Tom Brady stole it from him. But again, this list is so stacked. There's so many good players. Into the top 4. A guy I might have ranked too highly at this point. And then who do I have number 1? That's always a great discussion point with all the great Wisconsin running backs. But first, today's show is brought to you by the following sponsors. All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you again for making Locked On Badgers your first listen just every day. And as we continue to build this community, I really, really appreciate it. Continue to lay out the top 13 running backs since 2000 for the University of Wisconsin. Completely stacked the list. Coming up at number 4, tell me if I'm too high on this guy yet, but part of this is projection. Part of this is looking at something and saying, I don't need to see 4 years of it, right? Braelon Allen's number 4 for me. Maybe I'm too early on it. Maybe I needed to wait another year to see what he did. There's guys with great 4-year careers behind him. But listen, as a 17-year-old last year, learning the position, remember, he was kind of a running back and defensive player in high school. 17 on a team without a passing game, he averaged 6.8 yards per carry. 6.8 yards per carry. This entire list, which we've talked about, is incredibly stacked, including the guys we haven't got to yet that you know are coming up. Only one dude on this list has a better yards per carry than Braelon Allen, 6.8. 6.8 yards per carry as a 17-year-old freshman. What is this dude going to do now that he's had an entire year to study his craft at the college level, to just be a running back, to just be in a college strength and conditioning program, to get a little bit more of that man muscle, that man durability? Because that's the big question. That's the only question I have with Braelon Allen. That is it. Just durability. He's a bigger dude, and just he doesn't avoid a lot of big hits. I mean, it is what it is. Like, the smaller guys get hit less. The bigger guys just take more punishment. So the durability is a question, but none of these other guys on this list, let's just be real, even the Melvin Gordons. Like, Melvin Gordon didn't come in as a 17-year-old ready to rock and roll. No, I mean, it's just what Braelon Allen is so unique. He is a one-off. He's a one of one. And I think he could, quite frankly, move up on this list another notch or two by the time it's done. But I got him at 4 for now. Coming up at number 3, the Doak Walker Award winner in 2012, 2-time All-American, Big Ten Offensive Player in 2011, Montee Ball. The fall belongs to Ball. And listen, like, this is just a testament to the strength of this list. Montee Ball tied Barry Sanders for the most touchdowns in a single season with 39. 39 touchdowns. This is a guy who should have won a Heisman, except, Wisconsin backs don't get the credit and the love they deserve. 19th all-time in rushing yardage in college football. Montee Ball, let me give you my favorite Montee Ball story. If you can all remember back to that 2010 season where Wisconsin kind of found their footing late, Montee Ball, it was Iowa, and Montee Ball came in on a 4th down. Wisconsin was driving. They needed it. It was like a 4th and 3. They went 5. Wisconsin went 5 wide. You remember that game? John Clay got hurt. James White got hurt. And they turned to Montee Ball because they needed him. They ended up throwing like a 4th and 3 slant pass to Montee Ball. And he went down and caught it. And I was always so impressed with this backup running back at the time coming in, playing receiver. Just incredible to be able to do that in that moment. And I thought that was a testament to his ability to prepare, his ability to be an athlete. And then later in that game, obviously, he had that incredible touchdown against Iowa where he's carrying 2 people and he reaches across the goal line. Just an unbelievable game. And Montee Ball's a legend, right? An absolute legend. Like I said, 2-time All-American. There's not a lot of those dudes on the planet. 39 touchdowns in a season. That's just ridiculous. So he's my number 3. And coming up at number 2, I got Melvin Gordon, Melgor. And, with possible apologies to Barry Sanders, I say this seriously, Melvin Gordon may have had the greatest rushing season in the history of college football. That season he put together with 2,587 yards, almost 2,600 yards, second most all time in college football behind Barry Sanders, and not behind him by a lot. But here's the thing. He did it that year. If you remember that passing game, that Stave-ish passing game, Wisconsin threw more interceptions than touchdowns that year. People need to realize this. What Melvin Gordon did with one of the most anemic passing games of all time to average 7.5 yards per carry on 343 carries, it is mind-blowing. It's impossible. That is setting your EA Sports college video game to rookie, to amateur, and just doing whatever and running over everybody. Because people don't understand how hard it is to be a successful running back. Not that, I mean, just as a fan, like, people need to understand, like, every defense was geared on him, and he averaged 7.5 yards per carry, over 300 plus touch. It's just absolutely mind blowing. Melvin Gordon is my number 2. If we were ranking best individual seasons, Melvin Gordon would be number 1 by far. But my number 1 is obviously Jonathan Taylor. It's the only guy I haven't talked about, and he's a guy who he has to be number 1 on this list. All due apologies to Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon's the only one that you would, I think, make the argument could be number 1. But Taylor did it for 3 years. Taylor didn't have a 2,500 yard season like Gordon, but Taylor has, listen to this. This is one of my favorite Jonathan Taylor stats. 3 of the top 37 rushing seasons in college football history belong to Jonathan Taylor. 3 of the top 37. He's 6th all time in NCAA rushing yardage, and he never redshirted and he didn't play his senior year. Just an absolute phenomenal running back. You saw it right away. As soon as he played, you didn't need to see anything else. You knew he was special. You knew he'd be special for 3 years. Luckily, he was durable enough to hold up. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I think you have to go number 1, Taylor, just because of the way he was able to come out of the gate right away, because he was able to do it 3 straight years, But if someone wants to argue Melvin Gordon, I'm not going to really argue against it. I could see the angle. That's the list, guys. So really quick, let me recap it. You guys let me know where I'm wrong. Let me know where I'm right. Let me know who I'm too high on. Let me know who I'm too low on. Again, this is a stacked list. So I got Dare Ogunbowale, Ches Malusi, then at 11, PJ Hill, 10, Corey Clement, 9, Michael Bennett, and that electric speed. Number 8, John Clay, the big guy out of Racine. Number 7, Brian Calhoun. Number 6, Anthony Davis, got the A train. Number 5, James White. Number 4, I got Braelon Allen. Maybe I'm too early there. Number 3, I got Monte Ball. Number 2, I got Melvin Gordon. And number 1, I got JT touchdown Taylor. So you guys let me know. Let me know if I'm too high on one of these guys, too low on one of them. I had a lot of fun kind of just going back through, looking at the stats of everybody. I had to readjust my list a little bit after I put all the stats together, because I was my first take on ranking these guys, I got to be honest, I was a little higher on John Clay, and then I went back and it was really just the one great year. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I would love to get your input on this. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please, if you are interested, we have set up a Discord. I'll link that in the show. Discord is just a great way for us to engage with the Badger community that we're trying to build around this show, and just have good discussions and put some stuff out there. When you're done listening today, guys, please, if you want to, go to the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft. Search now for Ultimate NBA Mock Draft. Get over 50 insiders off the Locked On NBA Big Board. Draft coming up this week. And aside from that, guys, I really appreciate everyone listening from the bottom of my heart. I'm humbled by it, and let's just continue to build the community.